this is Liana with White Noises Pet Sitting, and we are a pet sitting and dog walking company in northern Colorado. And as part of our pet care tips series, I am here today with Eika with Purrrfect Paws Pet Grooming, and we are going to be answering a question today. So first off, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Eika with Purrrfect Paws Pet Grooming. I'm a certified veterinary technician and also a nationally certified master groomer. I have been in the pet industry for 27 years, as in the veterinary industry at least, and I've been in the grooming industry since 2003. I have been in this location since 2005. This is Windsor, Colorado, by the way. And I'm the sole person do individual one-on-one grooming. And I do cats and dogs. I used to do large dogs, but not so much anymore.
What is the one thing that you believe all pet lovers should know?
They should know how to properly brush their pet's coat, both cat, dogs, and even rabbits and ferrets.
Yes. Oh, yes. People don't think about ferrets. So I know you've got some examples here.
Yes. So I don't know if you can see this, but this was a cat pelt. And this was a soft-coated wheaten pelt. And when I say pelt, it's because what has happened is, in particular, the soft-coated wheaten, the owner thought that they were brushing the dog's coat, and it was looking pretty good. Problem was they weren't doing it properly, and this is what happened. This is just a mat, and actually this dog was quite a large dog, and I only saved a certain portion of it, but it was matted all the way through the full coat and came off in one piece, and that's what we call a pelt. And so obviously that owner was not brushing the dog appropriately. Same goes with a cat. It seems like they were brushing, and this is the back of the cat, and this was on the sides. It looked like it was doing pretty good, but again, it's a mat. And the only way to take that off is to shave it off, because of course, even with a cat or a dog, to pull mats out is extremely painful and can be very inhumane. So severe matting like this, we always recommend to shave and start again.
So if people don't want to have their pets get mats, what should they use to brush their pets?
Well, it's not as easy as you'd think.
Yeah.
Because it really depends on the type of coat the pet has. Mm-hmm. For example, a pit bull has a different type of coat than a German Shepherd or a poodle, mm-hmm. Or even like a Lhasa Apso or a Shih Tzu or something like that. So there's different tools for different coat types. Mm-hmm. And cats are usually pretty much the same because most cats, they're either short-haired, medium-haired, long-haired. Yes, I know there's different breeds, but realistically, that's when it comes to their coat type, that's what we've got. So for a short-haired cat, certainly something like a soft slicker brush, depending on how short the cat is, like an Abyssinian has really, really short coat. Mm-hmm. You probably wouldn't want to use something that's got, this is a pin brush, that's really rough, because if you can see, I'm abrading my skin here, and a cat has got a very thin skin, mm-hmm. and it doesn't take much to hurt them. So there are brushes like this one that have a coated pins on them. And both of these are, in this particular sense, are soft pin brushes, where this one is a hard pin brush, also known as a slicker brush. Mm-hmm. You would never want to use a slicker brush with this hard of pins on a cat.
Okay. It's too hard for them.
It's way too hard for them. But like an Abyssinian, this is probably pretty good. And the realistic thing is that you want to go from, you want to do the top part, but you also want to lift up this coat and go from the skin out, skin out, skin out, skin out, skin out.
Oh, so like layers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to just do this too much on this one because
it'll destroy that.
It'll destroy.
It's a good example.
But it's a good example since we don't have a cat here. So, and you want to do that from the head all the way down to the end of the tail. Mm-hmm. Of course, depending on how your cat, or in this case a cat, will handle it, You don't may not.
It's a good training session.
Yeah. You may not want to do it all at once.
Yeah. Little bits at a time.
Yeah, and you
get used to it.
Exactly, and you give them some treats, or some cats really love it, especially around their cheeks and their chin. Oh, they're in love.
Start the areas that they like the best, and then get them used to the rest.
The worst part, yes. And the other thing with that is that once you're done brushing, you should always go back and check with a comb.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, and actually combs work better on cats than anything else, especially the medium to long-haired cats, because it gets down to the skin and goes all the way out, and it'll pull that out. If there's mats, because usually on cats, when they start to mat, they're little tiny things.
Yeah.
If they get a mat like this, certainly not, and I would not recommend trying to rip out those at all. They should be shaved.
Good.
All right, and then for dogs, we're going to do a little bit more demonstration with dogs because we've got dogs here. But the same thing goes for dogs. It has to do with the type of coat. So as I said, a pit bull, you might want to use something that does have these coated pins versus something with a hard, because this is ridiculously hard and the coat is not even that thick. Sure. So something like this, the Furminator sometimes can work.
Those guys.
Yeah, you just have, again, you have to be careful when you're brushing, is that you're not going down like that, because you can hurt them. Not only are you going to cut their skin, but you can also cut the coat itself, and you don't want to do that. So it's a gentle thing. It's not a get in there. Yeah, you don't want to do that. The other thing is a finishing. This is what's called a finishing brush, and it just kind of makes it all nice and smooth. And honestly, there are times where you're going to want to use something that's an anti-static detangler spray, or even just a spritz of water. Especially February and March is really bad for us really here dry. Because it's really, really dry. Okay, so this is a German Shepherd. They're a double-coated breed. This would be similar to, even like a husky or something like that has a lot of thick coat. Maybe not so much in here, but definitely in the back end. This is very typical of many of your double-coated breeds, even Australian Shepherds, that kind of thing.
Oh, the butt fluff?
The butt fluff, yes. And this is usually where you're going to see a lot of the shedding and some matting. And if the dog's going to mat, this type of dog is going to mat, they're going to mat right back here, and they're going to mat right along in the rough area. And then depending on the length of the coat, like an Australian Shepherd, they can mat everywhere. Usually German Shepherds, not so much, unless they've got like some kind of disease process going on, or a parasite. I think in parasites, maybe lice are more inclined, which we don't luckily see too much of. But anyway, so this is where a slicker brush is probably best, because it does get the surface, but it also can go from the skin out, skin out, skin out, and you're going to get quite a bit of hair out. So this is, I'm trying to show you what I mean about skin out. So instead of just doing the surface, which is good, you still want to be able to go underneath and get the undercoat. And so that means just kind of lifting up the hair. I don't know, can you hear me? And going piece by piece, line by line. They call that line
brushing?
Line brushing, okay. Yeah. I say skin out because you're seeing the skin and you're brushing out. So it's my little terminology. So this will work really well on this shorter coat. But when you get to the back and you've got this longer coat, you can use things like this kind of comb. And that gets, so I am going, I'm on the skin and I'm running down. I also can go, and actually, depending on how thick it is, use a comb to do the same thing I did the brush. You should really always do the brushing first and then come back with the comb. And the comb is always your final test. If you can run the comb through, no problem. It should be like butter. Just go like butter. That means your brushing's done. If it gets stuck, that means your brushing's not done. You need to come back and go skin out, skin out, skin out, skin out. If you do come up with a mat, there are different tools that can be used to go in, and it actually, what it does is it cuts, these are cutting blades, and pull. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you absolutely have to. Usually these type of tools are more for groomers than people at home. Then
ideally, you keep their coats nice enough that you're not running into a lot of matting.
Right. Now, if you have a dog like this, for example, who, even though I can comb through, but I'm still getting a lot of hair. I mean, this dog's gonna shed. There are tools like this. This is a de-shedding rake. And they come in different styles. So this one only has like 6 blades in it, and this has got like 10 or 20 in them. So this is a more for thicker areas, and then you work yourself up to the more blades so it gets more of a better finish. And this will pull out that dead coat really nicely. Poodles or Bichons, we're not sure exactly what this kid is. He's probably came out of rescue out of New Mexico. But anyway, he has that curly coat. He has not been brushed since he had a bath. Usually when your groomer bathes a dog like this, they dry them, and they dry them as straight as they possibly can, so that when they scissor them, it looks all nice, and it's also a lot softer. But in this case, I didn't do that, partly because I knew I was going to be doing this. So again, we're going to want to use something like a slicker brush. This dog actually, though he looks like he's got a lot of coat, he's actually pretty thin. And you can see right here, you can see his skin if you part the hair, just barely. Whereas a lot of standard poodles and that kind of thing will have a lot thicker coat. So, so you want to be really more careful with this, because you don't want to be, as said, grinding down in there. You don't want to use a really hard brush, something a medium-sized brush, or size. When I say size, I mean stiffness in the
bristles.
Bristles, thank you. So we're going to use one on one area and the softer one. So I know he's a little more sensitive. It's a lot thinner here. And again, we're going to do not just the top, which that looks good, right? We're going to actually go from the skin out and do a line dry, or excuse me, a line brush, or also known as skin out, because we're going from the skin and outwards. So there you see, and then I should be able to comb, no problem. I mean, it's going through like butter. Whereas here, I can't even get the comb out.
Sure.
So again, you want to go from the skin out, and you want to check your work with a comb and see if you can go through the coat. If you cannot go through the coat like butter, then you need to go back and do some more brushing.
If people want to find you, how can they get in contact with you?
At purrrfectpaws.com, Google, Facebook at Purrrfect Paws LLC, and I'm trying to think. We're on Instagram too. But certainly we're in Windsor. We only service the Windsor, really the Windsor area, but we do not have a mobile. So you can always call us at 420, oh no. Call us at 970-420-6255 or at purrrfectpaws@comcast.net.
Yep, and I will have links to all of this information in the notes and the comments below, so you can take a look there so you can find it. But, well, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you.
This has been fun, and you're going to get such a good groom today. Yes.
Yeah, he's going to look totally different.
He's going to be very pretty. Yes, you are.